Kim, and welcome to Esotoric's podcast, You Can't Eat the Sunshine, for the week of January 19th, 2015. Join us this week as we talk with Myllie Taylor, longtime La Mirada resident and historian, about Bill Neff, whose sale of his grandfather's 2,000-plus acre citrus and olive farms in the early 1950s led to the community's development. We'll also visit with Claudia Heller, president of the Duarte Historical Society, to hear about the legendary Trails Restaurant, a staple of Old Route 66 from 1952 to its abrupt closure in 2001. So stay tuned.
You can't eat the sunshine, but you can make a beeline for the best of the coastline. La 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 la. Skid Row, Solano Canyon, the Doria, and Pico Union, the long-lost neighborhood called Hermina, between South Pass and Highland Park, Grand Central Park. It is divine. You can't eat the sunshine, but it's a gold mine of fabulous oddities like Brughere's Dairy, Angelus Abbey, Bob's Big Boy, in Downey Forest Lawn Cemetery. You can't eat the sunshine, but make a beeline.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for listening to our podcast, You Can't Eat the Sunshine, for the week of January 19th, 2015. This week, our two guests will be Myllie Taylor. She is a longtime resident of La Mirada. She is one of their resident historians. She is a diamond. She's one of my favorite people in the world. We're going to talk to her about the birth of La Mirada, which was the sale of the Neff estate to a developer. And Bill Neff. We're going to talk to her about Bill Neff, grandson of Andrew McNally, the map guy. Yeah, it's great. It's a great story. I don't think we've been doing some digging on the birth of suburbia in post-war Los Angeles, and I don't think there's a narrative as dramatic or as singular as La Mirada. I hope someone sends us an email and tells me I'm wrong. Our second guest, we're going to talk...
Wait. You didn't say that Myllie is like one of the most colorful individuals in the entire world.
I called her a diamond, and we're going to get into that.
I mean, a diamond. That's like something in Beverly Hills. Myllie is a lot sassier than any old diamond. If Myllie was a stone, she'd be a really psychedelic opal.
Okay, we haven't introduced her yet. I was just trying to...
I know, but I'm just really excited. I love Myllie.
Okay. Second guest. Claudia Heller. She is president of the Duarte Historical Society. She is also a huge fan of the now former Trails Restaurant in Duarte on Old Route 66, and she, of course, is going to talk to us about a day in the life of the Trails in the late 90s. Its backstory, a little bit about its demolition. We're spreading this out. We have several interviews about the Trails and and its life, its legacy, and Route 66 today. So this is just the first of many snapshots we'll be taking of people's memories. So that's going to be our episode today. And Kim, I believe it's now time for you, the Pishka Maven, to bring us up to speed on your fronts.
The Pishka Pitch. Yes, it's true. There is a digital tip jar. It's associated with this podcast. And if you like what we do and you'd like to support the work, you are encouraged, but not demanded, to contribute something to said digital tip jar, which you can find on the podcast page. And we are always so grateful to contributions from our listeners. It helps fund things like gasoline, chili rano burritos, cups of coffee to keep me from going insane. And Richard, darling, you occasionally get good things on the road. Last time we were on the road, we had some baklava, and it was really quite delightful. So, never...
I don't really... I'm not a big the cheese things. The
cheese pockets.
The cheese pockets, the barak, I think is what they call them.
It wasn't a barak, but it was really good. It had like 3 different cheeses and an interesting Lebanese spice. Yeah, that was good too. So if you want to help fund our work, a little goes a long way. Never obligatory. Always appreciated. We thank you for your support.
All right, good. Okay, so Kim, let's get to it. We have all really sad, closely watched. Okay, I guess sometimes they're happy. Sometimes they're happy endings.
The end of the world. I'm But there's a lot going on for a new year, Richard.
Okay, so it's January 19th, 2015, and late last week, the Cultural Heritage Commission had their monthly hearing, and they made a decision, came about norms on La Cienega. Do you want to bring us up to speed on this?
Well, first thing I'm going to say is thank you, Los Angeles Conservancy. You guys are out there writing landmarking applications, which is, something we've given you some grief about in the past as, citizens who write landmarking applications because we're worried about things. And it's great to see this giant nonprofit, which is the largest preservation group in the West, actually looking at buildings, obviously having some sort of insight into the workings of the Norms Corporation, and submitting this nomination in December for the landmark Norms No. 1 Googie-style restaurant. Ahmet and Davis, 1950s. What's the actual year, darling? Like 53?
54.
54, thank you. I mean, okay, listen, it's no Tiny Nailers, let's be honest. Should have saved Tiny Nailers. But it's a really classic example of the Googie style. It's always packed. It's right there on Restaurant Row. It's an important building, and so, there it was. Landmarking nomination is pending, and because it is so hard to find out, although it's supposed to be getting easier with this new ordinance that just passed, it's so hard to find out about demolition permits that have been pulled on older buildings. Obviously, someone went down to Building and Safety and just checked the address for 70 North La Cienega, and boom, January 5th, there it was, a demolition permit. Now, this is interesting because news had just circulated earlier this month about Norm's family, the family that has been running these diners since 1949, I believe, selling the corporation. And these guys up in Idaho were interviewed by Chris Nichols for the LA Magazine website, and we're talking about how much they love the brand, and although they're turnaround specialists who are usually dealing with devalued brands, restaurants that are going under in Chapter 11 and so forth. In this case, they saw it as an opportunity for expansion. So there was a lot of chatter in the geeky preservation diner community, like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Do they really love Norms? What does expansion mean? Are they going to build more of these buildings? That would be neat because they all have a very distinctive style. Are they going to keep the staff? Is the food still going to be home style? Whatever. And, overall, it was kind of an encouraging interview, and then, boom, notification of demolition. But what wasn't clear, and still isn't quite clear, because if you even pull the nomination that the Conservancy submitted,
which is not available online as of now still.
No, I found it. Yeah, I looked at it. Well, that's the point. I mean, they say they think that the property owner is Jason Ilulian. I hope I'm saying that right. But the LA Times says someone else is the property owner. And in neither case is it these guys from Idaho.
I have an idea. Let's drive over there and let's walk in and say, hi, I accidentally backed my car into your dumpster. I need to get in touch with the owner.
Like that lady in Highland Park who's doing all the quote-unquote re-tenanting. Yeah, whatever. Okay, point being, it looks like maybe when Chris Nichols got this interview with the turnaround artists, they were just saying, hey, we bought the brand. We're now in charge of Norms. Maybe they have some long-term leases on some of the restaurants. I think there's over a dozen Norms out in the Southland, including that one down in Southgate, which we pass on our South LA tour.
Not Southgate.
Oh, am I wrong?
It's in Bell.
It's in Bell?
I think technically it's in Bell.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's a gem. So it's a question.
Or Huntington Park.
It might be Huntington Park. A lot of people were emailing the people from Idaho and saying, how dare you? But it's possible that the family actually sold off all their real estate assets as part of this change, which always happens, when generations pass. So it's super interesting. The point of all this, though, I'm sorry if I'm rambling. There's been a lot going on in the last 24 hours. Used to be you'd have a preservation crisis and it would take weeks, months, sometimes longer to generate enough heat that you could get all of the local news stations to show up. But in less than 24 hours, with social media sharing, which started as the Conservancy put forward an immediate action alert, obviously emailed all of their members, which is a really powerful thing to do, shared it on Facebook. It got picked up by Vintage LA and by a lot of other organizations that have Facebook pages. It was shared thousands and thousands of times. The hashtag Save Norms began trending, and every news channel was down there doing a story. And lead into the following morning, because the news broke on Wednesday. On Thursday was the Cultural Heritage Commission meeting. It was packed. And, of course, Christopher Hawthorne from the LA Times was there reporting as the architecture critic. That does not always happen. And there was an attorney representing the owner, whoever they are, saying, oh, no, this is just a misunderstanding. Oh, we just pulled that because redevelopment, we pulled that, that permit because redevelopment might be part of the plan somewhere in the distant future.
Yeah, demolition permits are not like papal edicts. They are not indefinite for all eternity, so I don't believe that. Kim, we have to keep moving.
I know.
Kim,
But I don't know. I want to say one more thing. I think it's great that preservation activism can be so viral and can really have an impact. And obviously people feel really passionately about this cool diner that they've seen their entire lives. And I'd like to see more of this sort of thing, activism springing up. Maybe it doesn't have to be as big as a Norms. You can still gather the forces and you can make a difference. So, yay!
So I guess this is just another example of Web 2.0 as another way, Web 2.0 as another term for how to effectively bring about positive social change.
Yes.
Good. Okay, Kim. The El Dorado, which began life as the Hotel Stowell, Spring, just south of 4th, it's getting a new tenant.
Yes, for a number of months there's been a restaurateur building out the lobby of this condo building. They're called Le Petit Paris, and
What does that mean?
the Little Paris, and it's going to be very large. It's going to be even bigger than Figaro. I hope that the Historic Corps can support a large French restaurant. We shall see. I wish them well. Eater put a piece...
Really? They're bigger than Figaro?
Well, yeah, they have a lot of... Well, they're using all of the mezzanines. I mean, the thing about that building is, although they sold, all of the units as condos, there really isn't a lot of public space, and the whole lobby has been always given over to the idea of a restaurant, but they haven't had one yet. So this is going to be very interesting. And Eater, the blog, said, it's going to be the most beautiful restaurant in the Historic Core. And I thought, that's interesting, because, of course, it's this problematic space. It's this hotel lobby, which for many years was just a rundown SRO, which had a lot of wooden partitions up, and then when the partitions...
David Bowie made a music video.
David Bowie music video. You can see it on YouTube.
Julian Temple?
Julian Temple directed it. All Day, All Night? No.
No.
One Day, One Night? Something like that.
One Day, One Night.
Something like that. Anyway, it's got great Broadway footage from like 87. It's really terrific. The problem was, of course, when the developer started fixing the place up after years of being a rundown hotel. They brought in Spectra, the historic preservation architect firm. I hate to call them that because they managed to dissolve accidentally or on purpose, who knows, all of the priceless Ernest Batchelder tile in the lobby. And they've been trying to, figure out what to do with the lack of Batchelder in the lobby ever since. There was a big Curbed piece about this, which kind of blew the lid off some of the sketchy things that happened, including a tile lover who was sent to city jail on false pretenses for trying to blow the whistle. County jail? County jail, thank you. It's so upsetting, I always get that wrong. For trying to blow the whistle on what was going on. Go read about it, it's awful. So, the most beautiful restaurant in downtown with a lot of photographs of what's coming, and things are changing. Those columns, which were originally ringed at the lower part with these Ernst Batchelder tiles, which have vanished over the years and been recreated with plaster, now they've been boxed in. So there's sort of a frame around the base of the column, but they have little peekaboo holes in them, and every once in a while a dark blue painted Batchelder tile is seen. It's just the freakiest thing.
What apparently has happened is that the designers of the interior have taken Brian Kaiser's suggestion in the Curbed article to heart and done the exact inverse.
Right. What Brian said, the Southern California style expert, the guy who really understands what happened and helped the writer Liz Arnold at Curb to figure out what questions to ask and how to understand what that interior had been and what had probably happened during the course of the renovation.